Hi, everybody. My name is Diana Marshall, and I'm here today to talk to you about the case that I did for our second case briefing, which was McCart v. United States, 395 U.S. 185, 1969. I'm happy to have this opportunity to talk to you about this case because I thought it was really interesting. It was much more complex than our first case, which gave me the opportunity to really dig in and try to figure out what was going on. I think I probably read the case more than the recommended times that you read a case in order to do a case briefing, just because it was a little tricky. So I do have some notes that I'm going to, just to keep me on track. So I apologize for doing a little bit of reading, and then I will go through my case brief for you. So thanks. So the petitioner was exempt from serving in the military due to being classified as the sole surviving son of a family, which means that his father had died in military service previously. And so he was classified as being someone who, because he was the sole surviving son of a family, would not be called into military service. Upon the military learning about the death of his mother, his status changed to a class that made him available for military service. And he was ordered to a pre-induction physical. He did not show up for that physical and went through a couple of steps, administrative steps that you can take to kind of like try to change your military status, but did not complete those steps. And he failed to complete the military process for contesting the status change. He was arrested and convicted, and his defense was that he was improperly denied sole surviving son status. The district court held, and the Court of Appeals affirmed that his defense was not available to him because he had failed to exhaust the administrative remedies provided by the military. And this is where the case for me got a little confusing, because in reading through the case the first couple of times, I thought that the issue was that if the mother dying constituted the status change because there was no longer a family unit to consider. But as I kept reading through and kind of internalizing more of the facts and more of like the nuances of the case, I came to understand that the issue was actually different. The issue was, let me just read it right from my case brief. The issue was, does the failure to exhaust remediation options in an administrative process prevent an individual from offering a defense? So you can see there's a big change there between those two issues. But that was the issue that the Supreme Court was considering and then reversed the decision on. And they did this because, so just to give you some insight into their interpretation of the sole surviving son status, it includes the idea of continuing the bloodline, which isn't explicitly stated in the sole surviving son status statute or regulation. But not much detail is, and so it's the whole sole surviving son status language is kind of left up to interpretation. But if one of the factors in the sole surviving son status is continuing the bloodline, then that wouldn't be impacted by the mom's death, and then this person would still be eligible for that status. Okay, so let me go back through. So the facts. The petitioner is an individual who is classified as sole surviving son. Upon the death of his mother, they determined that the classification no longer applied because their family unit no longer existed. The petitioner was subsequently called in for a pre-induction physical and did not complete the process for challenging this change of status. The petitioner was convicted of failing to report for induction, and the defense, like I said, was that they were improperly denied sole surviving son status. The respondent is the United States. The respondent claims that the petitioner was not eligible to provide a defense against the charge of failing to report for induction because the petitioner did not go through the administrative process for contesting the Selective Service change to their classification as offered by the Selective Service. The respondent uses the doctrine of exhaustion of administrative remedies as reasoning. Procedural history. The district court held that the petitioner could not raise the defense of being denied the status of sole surviving son because the petitioner did not exhaust all administrative remedies. The Court of Appeals affirmed this decision. The petitioner appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court reversed the decision of the district court and acquitted the petitioner. Issue. Does the failure to exhaust remediation options in an administrative process prevent an individual from offering a defense? Holding. The failure to exhaust remediation options in an administrative process does not prevent an individual from offering a defense in this case. It is the opinion of the U.S. Supreme Court that the individual should not have been reclassified upon the death of their mother, and the sole surviving son status should remain intact for this individual. Judgment. The judgment of the U.S. Supreme Court reversed the decision of the district court and acquitted the petitioner. Reasoning. The exhaustion of administrative remedies doctrine requires that individuals go through every step of an administrative process before seeking judicial review. One reason for this doctrine is to prevent administrative processes from being prematurely interrupted. In this case, the petitioner's defense is not interrupting the available administrative remedies or administrative process, as those options are now closed to the petitioner. Furthermore, the court determined that the only step of the administrative process that the petitioner did not complete, appeal to the appellate boards, would not have provided additional insight or information to the judicial review. An individual's sole surviving son status does not end with the death of the last surviving family member. While Congress did not explicitly state the reasoning or nuances of the conditions for sole surviving son status, the district court used references from legislative history to determine that one element of this status is a desire to avoid extinguishing the male line of a family through the death in action of the only surviving son. So I hope this gives you some insight into this case, which was layered and a little complex, but I enjoyed reading about it. I learned a little bit, not only about the case briefing process, but about the administrative remedies doctrine, sole surviving son status, and all kinds of fun stuff that I didn't even know about. So thanks for listening, and I hope you have a great night.